Hey, Secretary. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here at the California Democratic Convention to address the delegation and want to thank California Democrats as well as Univision for co-hosting today's Candidates Forum. We had the opportunity to discuss some important and compelling issues facing our country. In this campaign, from the very beginning, I've been speaking up for a nation where everyone counts. In the face of a president who's determined to be a president for some, I want us to make sure that our leadership fights for everybody. And I've laid out a vision for the future of our country that means we can become smarter, we can become healthier, more just, and also fundamentally more prosperous for everybody in the years ahead. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Secretary Castro, you are a big supporter of impeachment. Could you tell us specifically the crime that Donald Trump committed?
First of all, there are 10 instances of obstruction of justice or attempted obstruction of justice that Mueller laid out in his report. So, as you know, I called for impeachment right after the Mueller report came out. I think he could have been impeached on those 10 counts. I also believe that he violated the law when he abused his oath of office and talked to the Ukrainian president about doing political dirty work to get dirt on his opponent. I think that was a violation of his oath of office and that he should be impeached for that.
Secretary Castro, the order of the primary states recently, what do you think the order should be? What states would you like to see go first?
I actually would like to see a process that makes sense, that the DNC puts in place. You know, if you think about it, what we've been fighting for as Democrats is to expand the franchise. We've gone after Republicans justifiably for trying to suppress the votes of people, especially of people of color. And so if you were analyzing where we should put the first primary and first primaries, because I think we should get rid of this caucus system, what we would do is we would look at those states that are most reflective of the country and the Democratic Party, and then also consider factors like which states have made it easier for people to vote through absentee voting, early voting, other measures that they have taken, like pre-registration, encouraging people to vote, same-day registration, and come up with a process that actually reflects the diversity in our party and our country and rewards states that have taken the right strides that reflect our values as Democrats. I was disappointed to see the Iowa Republican Party join hands with the Iowa Democratic Party to defend that Iowa caucus. It's fascinating to me that Republicans in Iowa won't lift a finger to improve Medicaid in the state, that they won't do anything to improve education, but they're jumping at the chance to defend a caucus system that serves to minimize the voices of people of color, the voices of people with disabilities, the voices of working Iowans who can't show up at 7 o'clock one weeknight because there's no early voting. And because of that, the caucus system only has a 16% turnout rate. If I'm the only one on this issue that is willing to tell the truth, that's fine. But, you know, we need to make a change if we want to live up to our values. Yeah, go ahead.
You're an ardent supporter of immigration reform. However, a lot of our U.S. foreign policy causes more influx of immigrants. How will you deal with that as president?
And what do you mean by our foreign policy?
As far as us engaging in just pushing wars and proxy wars, what is your stance on that?
Well, I've said that if I'm president, that I'll have a unique and unprecedented role in trying to work with our Latin American neighbors so that people can find safety and opportunity in countries like Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. You know, I've called for a 21st century Marshall Plan so people can find safety and opportunity at home instead of having to make the dangerous journey to the United States. On stage, we had a conversation about Mexico. For those of y'all that follow what's happening at our border, over the last couple of months, people have noticed that there's more of an influx of Mexican nationals. And for a long time, you know, most of the people that have been coming from Central America, but now we're seeing an uptick in Mexican nationals. Part of that is related to the lack of security again and the flaring up of this violence, as well as poverty. We need to work with Mexico as well to continue to ensure that people can find safety and opportunity there at home so that they don't feel compelled to make the journey north to the United States. That's the kind of approach. Instead of the United States blaming or scapegoating these countries, we need to get serious about working with them to solve the challenge. Here and then there. Here and then there. Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir. You didn't qualify for the ENC debates next week. Just what's your reaction and why do you think that was?
I'm going to keep working hard. We have one more chance before the Iowa caucus. We got one more chance in December. I answered this question on stage that there are a lot of people in our families that have had to work a lot harder and make sacrifices so that I can even be in the position that I'm in to get to run for president. I think about my mother when she was running for city council in San Antonio, and at that time, a woman or a person of color couldn't even get elected to the city council. And now her son has the opportunity to actually run for president and to to influence the race. That says something about progress in our country, and that's worth fighting for, and I'm going to continue to do that. Also, whether I'm on that debate stage or not, this campaign has influenced this race. I influence all of the other candidates on immigration. That's clear. I've influenced all of the other candidates when we talk about questions related to police use of excessive force, police brutality. If there's a housing question that is asked, and I think there may well be in Atlanta next week, in part I think it'll be because we've kept pushing for the media to ask a housing question when we see communities like Los Angeles in this area that are dealing with homelessness like never before. So I've influenced this race already, no matter what happens on that debate stage in November. And I'm going to keep fighting on, especially for the most vulnerable Americans and people that are often forgotten about. That's worth fighting for.
Two-part question. The first part is, why are you just now speaking about the problems with the early voting states? Why not talk about it early when you first announced it? It seems like now that you're not doing as well as you would like to in the polls, you're bringing it up. And the second part is, do you think your fellow Democrats lack any courage for not jumping to your defense about the process?
Thank you for the question. First of all, the reason I'm speaking out now, nobody has cast a single vote in Iowa. There's still 10 weeks left until the caucus. 10 weeks, as I said on stage today, is a lifetime. It's 10 lifetimes in politics between now and February 3rd. Y'all see right now that this race is in more flux than it's ever been, okay? People are just getting in. Some people that are just getting into this race are not going to be on the debate stage either on Wednesday. So your question, though, to answer it directly was, why am I speaking up now as opposed to earlier? Because now I've actually had the opportunity to go and visit almost 30 states. I have been running for president for more than 10 months. I actually have experience to be able to talk about the process. I didn't want to address that when I was a new candidate, and people are going to say, well, you haven't even run, you haven't done anything in terms of the presidential campaign. I have now. And I have to give a lot of credit to the people of Iowa and New Hampshire. They have been wonderful. I have no complaints about the way that we've been received in Iowa and New Hampshire. Everybody has been nice. At the same time, I realize that we can't talk about championing the ability of everybody to make a difference at the ballot box, championing diversity in our party as Democrats, and go after Republicans as we should when they try and suppress minority votes, but then start our nominating process for president in these two states that hardly have any black people, hardly have any people of color. That doesn't make any sense. And it's not too late for some of my colleagues to agree with me.
Elizabeth Warren just said recently, regarding the two states, those two states that you just mentioned, that she's just a player in the game without wanting to criticize the process. What is your take on that?
Well, I mean, I've already given my take. That's my take.
But do you agree with the notion that, you're just a player in the game, you've got to accept whatever is given?
I mean, I've laid out how I believe it should change, and I'll do what I can.
Courage to fight for the system that many seem to be see as unjust.
I hope that not only will that change by 2024, but that the change will reflect the diversity in the Democratic Party and in our country. Go ahead.
President Obama was quoted recently at a fundraiser saying that we should be wary of moving to the left and our more activist wing of the Democratic Party. What's your take on that? Do you think that was wise of him to wade into the race like that?
Look, I always take what President Obama says very, very seriously. I believe that, he's very wise and, of course, knows of which he speaks. And I don't think that anybody in this campaign, though, has articulated a vision for the future of the country that wouldn't command a majority of voters in November of 2020. I believe every single one of the Democrats, the ones that are on stage on Wednesday and the ones that are not necessarily on stage, their vision for the future of the country is much better and will be more popular than Donald Trump's. I mean, think about this. You got a president on Twitter who is threatening nuclear war with other countries. I mean, none of the Democrats have done anything near threatening nuclear war with another country on Twitter. All right? You have a president who is dishonest, who is abusing his power and violating his oath of office for his own personal gain. I believe that any of the Democrats, when they're up in 2020 against him, any one of us who would become the nominee are going to be able to defeat Donald Trump. All right? Yeah.
So, thank you for representing the Latinos. It's really hard for us to understand how to even get into politics. Right now, I'm asking this question forward, right? What advice would you give Latinos, to get into the Democratic Party and what to run? Like, if you could give advice to them, what advice would you give them?
Number one, to believe in yourself. That's the advice that I give everybody. Every one of the people that you see up here running, they believe in themselves. You also, no matter what happens, you should always believe in yourself and surround yourself with people who believe in you and who love you. I would also say to the Latino community that we need you. We need more people running for office. We need people voting. The Latino turnout rate is 20 points lower than for non-Hispanic whites. That has to change. That also means that in the party there's a responsibility to actually make the outreach 365 days a year, not only a few months before the election. I am pleased that Tom Perez and the DNC seem to get that and that they're making stronger efforts than before. I'm very happy about that. But I would say that the Latino community is very much a part of the present and the future of California and of the United States. And the destiny of the Latino community is intertwined more than ever before with the destiny of the United States. Because for people under the age of 18, now more than a quarter of those young people are Latino. So as the Latino community goes, so goes the United States in the years to come. But that means for Latinos that our community needs to step up and get engaged, get involved, make an impact in 2020, and also run for office and believe in yourself and, swing for the fences.
Thanks.
All right. Mi español es nomás así. Sí, por favor.
¿Cuál es la importancia del voto latino en 2020?
Es importante participar. Tenemos un presidente que tiene un corazón mal para latinos e inmigrantes. Si usted quiere reformar el sistema migratorio, invertir en educación, en empleos y cambiar el presidente, el que es presidente, es necesario votar. All right? There you go.